Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Today is the second part of a basics. What do you need to know? The basics for kidney disease. Please take into mind if you haven't seen the protein one, this is for general recommendations. This is not for a specific um, kidney diagnosis. So it may be a little different for you depending on what's going on with you. But I'll go ahead and share my screen. So today we're going to talk about salt and sodium. So let me share my screen here. Okay. So, sodium, what do you need to know? So, today we're just going to talk about salt and sodium. A lot of people use these terms interchangeably, and that's fine, but we'll just talk about what the difference is. We'll talk about blood pressure, different guidelines for sodium in the diet, and how to really make changes in your personal diet to get the salt down. So, what is sodium? Okay, so sodium, despite the fact many people use those words interchangeably, they are very different. Sodium is a mineral and a nutrient that is naturally occurring in nature. Unprocessed foods like fresh vegetables, legumes, and fruit naturally have sodium. Baking soda has sodium too. So, um, you don't have to go. A lot of people say, "Oh, you need salt in your diet." Well, you need iodine, but you don't really need salt or added salt. You will get plenty of sodium in your diet. Salt, um, so you do need, like I said, you do need some sodium, but people overdo it, and there's a whole community out there that talks about, oh, you need more salt, not less salt. That's not true. If you have polycystic kidney disease and you're doing a ketogenic diet, you may need a little bit more, but as a general rule, you do not. People get too much. Too much salt can lead to bigger health problems like high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease. So where is salt? So salting at the table is one thing, but salt is in everything. And I'll tell y'all a big thing is restaurant food. People don't cook anymore, and you really have got to start cooking at home because that's the only way you can control it. I have people all the time say, "Well, I went out and I got this healthy meal." And so when I'm working with people, I'll pull it up what they got at whatever restaurant. And somebody ordered rice at this restaurant, and I pulled it up. If it's a chain, I can see. And the rice had 700 milligrams of sodium in it. Rice, like, why do we have to put sodium in rice? But restaurants will do that. So you have to be super careful. Canned foods, pretzels, pizza, any kind of processed packaged something that didn't come from the earth that or that was made in a restaurant is going to be really high in salt. So when you're looking at a nutrition facts label, you'll see the sodium there. Okay. And so what you want to do when you're looking at this is think across a day. Some people will say, we'll try to keep each food like 200 to 300 milligrams or less. And that's a nice way to do it. But I like to look at across the day. So let's look at guidelines with this nutrition label in mind. So this says sodium 520 milligrams. Okay. All right, so KDOKI, that is the National Kidney Guidelines, okay? And those are, they say for sodium intake with proteinuria or chronic kidney disease, you want it to be 2,300 milligrams or 2.3 grams, but we'll go with milligrams because that's what the label is, per day, okay? So if you look at that label that had 520 milligrams, that'll eat up a lot of this 2,300. So if you keep the 2,300 in check and then you think about the 500, I'm just trying to give you perspective across a day. Okay, now that's KDOKI, and those are fine. But what I really like is American Heart Association guidelines. And the reason I like American Heart Association guidelines is because everybody I work with, I say, if you're a kidney patient, you're a heart patient, because most people with kidney disease die of some sort of cardiovascular problem. So what they say is that you want your sodium intake no more than 1,500 milligrams a day. I think that is better. And so then if we go back to that nutrition label again, 520 milligrams, well, now you've only got 1,000 left for the rest of the day, and that would have just been one food. The other thing about a nutrition label is look at the serving size, because sometimes it might say 520 milligrams. That means per serving, but there might be 4 servings in that processed food. So really, really look at that. All right. Moving on to blood pressure. What is blood pressure? Normal is less than 120/80 if you don't have kidney disease. Now, sometimes when people have kidney disease, they can't get it to this, but it's still my goal because that's normal. But if you think about kidney disease, one thing is that people have come to me and they have said, my doctor told me my blood pressure was fine. It was over this. It was 130/90 or something, but it was that way for many, many years. They still had kidney damage. So what we want to do is keep that, try to reach the goal of normal. Okay. The other thing about blood pressure is this, and in kidney disease, a lot of things are like this. One of them is blood pressure. So high blood pressure can cause kidney disease. But kidney disease can cause high blood pressure. It's sometimes it's which came first, the chicken or the egg. Um, and so, but high blood pressure forces blood through the kidneys at such a force that it damages them. So, and it will increase proteinuria and accelerate kidney damage. So, I have people that I work with really keep track of their blood pressure. You need to know what it is and at different times of the day. Sometimes it's a little higher in the morning because cortisol rises in the morning and it can raise blood pressure a little bit. So I want you to check it in the morning, but I also want you to check it in the afternoon or the evening. Check it on a calm day, check it on a stressful day. You really need to know what's going on with your blood pressure. How to lower blood pressure. So there's non-diet strategies. Like if you're overweight, lose weight. Stop smoking. If you smoke, regular exercise, stress management. People don't realize how much stress affects your health. Also, their diet strategies, limit salt intake, which you've already talked about, but also just eating a plant-based diet because plant-based diets have more potassium in them. And you may say, well, I thought I was supposed to limit potassium. No, you're not. You're probably reading dialysis guidelines unless you're late stage kidney disease, you're on an ACE inhibitor or an angiotensin receptor blocker, and your potassium is going high. Sometimes we do limit there, but you only limit if the lab tells you so. So don't read information on the internet that tells you to limit potassium. Ask someone if you should. So tips to lower salt. A few of my favorite things to do to lower salt. Never ever salt at the table. There's no reason you should ever salt at the table. So buy organic, low sodium canned goods. If you're going to buy canned goods, buy them organic and get them low sodium. The reason I say organic really has nothing to do with salt. It has everything to do with that BPA lining in the can that I do not like. And usually the organic canned foods won't have those. So another thing you'll learn about me is that I'm going to also take into account your overall health, and BPA lining is not good for overall health. Watch eating out. You just about can't eat out and get a low sodium meal. It's nearly impossible. Very, very difficult. If you do have to eat out, some people travel for work. I do realize people have social lives, so stick to salads and sides. If it's a restaurant, like a sit down restaurant, you can ask them to not salt your food or to keep the salt low. If it's fast food, basically they're just rearranging prepackaged food in there. They can't do anything about the salt for you there. Watch the sides, like the sauces, the dressings. Those are usually high in sodium. Soups really need to be homemade. You can find some that are lower sodium, but it's kind of hard to find. Um, and then salt likes to hide, so read labels. Even things like almond milk or certain seasoning blends can have a lot of salt, so just read labels. All right, so you may be thinking, okay, then I don't want to eat because everything's going to taste so bland. But no, Mrs. Dash is very simple and very cheap, and it's great. Fresh herbs are amazing. And when we go over the inflammation deck, you will see that fresh herbs are so high in antioxidants. It's crazy. And so, really, what you're doing is killing two birds with one stone if you use fresh herbs because you're lowering the sodium intake, but you are also improving the anti inflammatory aspect of your diet. And they taste better anyway. Fresh herbs, garlic, and onions, they make things taste so good. There's this one. So I'm from the South, and people in the South love to put things like pork and fat back in their beans. And I say, please stop doing that. And so what you can do is get this. It's Edward and Sons is the brand, and they have these low sodium, no chicken bouillon cubes. They are so good. They make everything taste good. You don't even have to put a whole one in there. You can put a half of one, like in your beans or peas, or I even put them in my greens sometimes, because that's how we eat down here in the South. But they make things taste really good. Lemon tastes good. Sumac, it does have some sodium, but if you watch the amount, it makes things taste salty, but not with so much salt. Um, okay. And then plant-based diets with hypertension. This I know is very hard to read, and I did not intend for you to read it. But what I'm trying to show you here is that there is such a wealth of research and information showing you that if people who eat plant-based diets have low blood pressure. And in fact, in my family, I'm the only one not on blood pressure medication. It runs in my family. Cardiovascular disease runs in my family. I'm not on blood pressure medication. My blood pressure is normal every time I take it. So it really makes a big difference. So, what you can do is think about what we went over today and think of lifestyle changes that you can make in your own life. If you feel like you still need help, there's two ways you can get help from me. You could read my book, Plant Fed Kidneys, get the one that says For the Patient. It is on Amazon. Or you can scan this QR code right here. It'll take you directly to my calendar and you can schedule with me there. This would be if you want to build insurance. If you do not want to build insurance and you would like to um, work with me, just self-pay, you can go to my website, plantfedwellness.com, and it'll give you my email and just everything you need to know there to get in touch with me. So I hope this was helpful, and I will be talking to you soon with more information about the basics of kidney disease.